Thanks everyone for joining me for another review. This one is for the Crux Prime. As usual, my test layout is 75 by 4 7/8 by 55 dual angle, 4 7/8 by 5.5 by 3.5 pin buffer, which puts the pin in my ring finger and kicks the PSA out slightly. My personal specs are below in the description. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about with this new cover, but I'm going to save most of it for the post-launch live stream. There's just too much information to fit into the video, so make sure to check that out for discussion on the details. It will also archive as a video if you weren't able to join us live, but I'll try to hit the high points. For starters, the Catalyst core from the Crux series is back. There have been several Crux releases overseas in the last couple years since the alpha, but this is the first stateside one in a couple years. The big news, though, is the cover stock. Spec Solid is a brand new formula which should theoretically revolutionize the industry. There are several big points to hit. The absorption rate's extremely slow, so very slow to soak up oil, virtually negligible, which means incredible longevity, so this ball is going to maintain its reaction and will last much longer than other balls out there, which also happens to blow a pretty big hole in the new USB-C spec regarding absorption rate or speed. A lot of people thought that this would limit ball technology progression going forward, but this opens up a whole new world as this cover proves that absorption rate has absolutely zero to do with how much a ball hooks. Obviously, you still want to do your regular ball maintenance. It's not an everlasting gobstop or anything, but it's a huge step forward for durability and longevity. Now, all that fun technobabble aside, the idea is to give you a ball that maintains its reaction longer and that still reacts well and knocks the pins down. As you can see, it's pretty chuggy, it's very strong, very heavy rolling, fairly slow revving though, and slow but decisive on friction. This is going to give you a lot of room to get to the pocket on easier conditions like league, and a lot of control on tougher ones. Now, a big thing for me is that it's super readable and very consistent down lane. This is another feature of the new cover that we'll talk about in a minute. A major thing that should stand out by now is how much power and energy it retains for how relatively slow it is on the back end. I mean, it doesn't turn sideways by any means, and it keeps the pins insanely low. The lower the pins stay, the better, because that increases pin action, and it basically looks like it gets to the pocket and just overwhelms the pins. However, it's not a magic ball. I'm in no way saying or insinuating that. With as smooth as it is, you're going to have some flat tins here and there, but I did kick out a fair bit more than usual. It's a very common pin for me to leave, but I dug several out, so that was noticeable, and I didn't leave anything on the left side on lighter hits. Sometimes you'll get that light mixer 7 when the ball gets to the spot and burns up a little, but when the prime starts moving, it doesn't quit. It's slow but methodical, and that's a result of another feature of this cover, which is chemical adhesion. Basically, what that means is that the cover material wants to cling to dry boards, whereas most bigger hooking balls tend to burn energy and stand up or quit or roll out, what have you, when they hit friction. This material actually wants to stick to the lane, which helps it sustain the same entry angle as you get further inside with steeper angles as the lanes transition, so instead of standing up or rolling out, the prime is still going to pick up and deliver. Again though, not a magic ball. If you make bad shots, bad things are probably still going to happen. The key things to remember here is that this ball is going to maintain its reaction a lot longer, and it's going to dig in on the friction better. I never felt like this ball was burning up or quitting. On these misses, sometimes I got it in too much oil or made a physical error, and I still paid for it. But the way the prime dug in on the friction and still had authority on the lane and at the pocket was noticeable. It seemed to respond well to whatever I wanted to do with it, and other balls can have some limits. The Sherlock, for example, handles angle better than playing straight. It's quicker on friction, so it was more difficult to play further right with. The Halo and the Idol, on the other hand, prefer staying straighter. They get a little slow and lazy from deeper angles. The Prime would do virtually anything I wanted it to. The reaction and shape felt the same no matter where I was at on the lane. Hopefully that shows through on the screen. But it was very comfortable to throw, and it gave me a lot of confidence in execution. I love the Sherlock, but with how quick it is, I feel like I have to help it down the lane sometimes, and I'm a huge fan of the Idol. It's my favorite ball right now, but most of the time I feel like I have to help it finish because it's so smooth. I don't feel like I have to help the Prime do anything, so for all the technical stuff and layouts and boards and angles and absorption, adhesion, whatever, I like it. It's controllable but powerful and consistent, and that's a huge deal for somebody like me that gets mentally triggered pretty easily. I feel like I can let it go and it's going to dig in and do work. At the end of the day though, it's still a bowling ball. I'm still going to throw it badly, it's still going to leave tens and splits and all that other stuff that every other ball out there does too, but it's a step forward in several different ways, and I think that's noticeable. Thanks for watching, and look for more detailed comparisons between the other balls shown here coming soon. Thanks.